Celtics Talk Podcast is presented by 24autogroup.com. New England gets more at 24.
What do you know more about your team after 13 games?
That we care. Yeah, that there's a high care factor and there's a high competitive factor. And I think over the course of a season, you can do a lot with that. And so we just got to continue to get better. I think we have a humility to know we're not playing the way we want to, but we also know we're playing hard and we can get so much better. And so that's why I'm excited about these next 2 days of practice.
Yeah, it's obviously a little different, but we got a younger team, guys that are kind of learning on the fly. And so just kind of learning each and every game of what works for us, what doesn't work for us. We keep talking about the process, and I think for the past couple of years, like, we've had people that have been here and done that. And so those little mistakes, they kind of happen a little bit more often. And so just something that we're continuing to learn about, continue to grow from. Everybody's super bought in and super open to learning and growing and seeing what we need to do to win these games. And so we've got a long way to go, and I think a lot of teams think they got a lot of room for growth, and so we're just like everybody else.
What's up, everybody? Post-game pod, but we're gonna mix things up a little bit tonight. I'm gonna shuffle the deck a little bit. Normally we're laser focused on the game, but the Celtics rout the Memphis Grizzlies 131-95. Kind enough to get Eddie House to hang out with us, take him into overtime because we did post-game plus, Celtics post-up. Now we're doing the podcast. So Eddie, my headline was going to be, so what we've been doing on the post-game pod, we kind of come out with a headline, and then we usually ramble about it for a few minutes. My headline tonight is simple. A much-needed, boring victory, a perfectly boring victory. But I want to focus on the Celtics through 13 games. We've got 1/6 of the season, which sounds crazy because it feels like it just tipped off, in the rearview mirror. Let's start just big picture. How are you feeling about where the Celtics are at 6-7 through the first 13 games?
Well, I'll say this off rip is there's never been I've never had a boring win. Every
That is
win
fair.
that I've had, it don't even matter as long as we get that W. I've had some boring losses and some miserable losses, but never a boring or a miserable win. But through the first 13 games, I think we've been up and down. And a lot of times we've been trying to find our footing. We've been trying to find our identity, how we're going to play on both sides of the ball, not just one side of the ball. Because usually you have an identity coming into the season. You're like, okay, we're going to hang our hat on this particular side of the ball, or this is what we're going to do. And I think we've got the first 13 games, we kind of got caught up, especially early on, in playing the same way we would play with the roster that we had before. This is the whole turnaround roster. So now you have to look at how you're going to attack teams, how are you going to use your players and put them in position to be successful so the team could be successful. So I think that's kind of the learning curve. I'll just go back to my time when I was in Miami that last year when we went to the finals and lost to Dallas. We started off pretty bad. People were like, man, I don't know, man. You got Chris Bosh, LeBron James, D Wade, and look at what their record was. I think might have been like 9. I don't know. We were it was a funny record. I don't remember what it was exactly.
I'll look
but
it
it
up while you're
was.
talking.
Yeah, go ahead. You can pull it up. It was like through the first 15 games, we weren't good at all. We were struggling. We were trying to figure out what our identity was, and then it took a while for it to finally come together. And when it did come together, we were able to rock. And I think that's what Joe was trying to figure out, the rotation. That's why you see Jordan Walsh in the starting rotation, and you see Minot in the starting rotation. And then also the rotation in general, who's going to come off the bench and what kind of minutes you get.
I think you're spot on. Like, in different situation, right, where you guys were a championship team, but you needed to figure out the parts. But this is the Celtics are going from a championship level team to now trying to figure out how these younger players work together. And it's been a bit of a learning curve. And I think we see it especially at the end of games. Like it's undeniable. You don't have a Jason Tatum out there. It's just different. And you brought it up today on the pregame show, right? Like he's the EQ, he's the equalizer. Like when things go bad, Jason Tatum has a way of making things look really good. And so I think the Celtics are learning how to win without Jason Tatum. And how are you crisp at the end of games, and where's the ball go to? So it's a little bit of a learning process. I do think there's a few wins they've kicked away. I think no one would probably argue that. I wonder what it would look like if like things had been a little bit more crisp at the finish line. You secure a couple more rebounds, you get a couple better drops on the late plays. But undeniably, like there's also been a lot of positives that have been masked just from the end results. I want to start with like, what's the biggest surprise to you so far? Like what stands out most about the Celtics season so far, good or bad?
What stands out most is that guys their roles have changed, and so with roles being changed, you're demanded to do more, and finding that perfect alignment of not doing too much, not going out of your body and trying to play the hero game, but also stay within your game, but also do more with your game, if that makes sense. So I think that's where a lot of the guys that have been here are in that kind of that, and that's why they've kind of been up and down right now, because they're trying to find that, like they're trying to level off and trying to figure that out. And so, I look at a guy like Sam Hauser, where, a lot of the shots he was getting last year was going down. He's getting those same shots, they not going down. You got more pressure on you right now this year. Not that it's not going to change, because it could instantly change in a second. Anthony Simons is getting minutes that, might be somebody else's minutes back last year. So all of those things, those dynamics within the team is like, okay, so now you have to navigate as a person, as a player. How do you do this? And it's not only just you per se, it's your teammates, understanding like now what your role is, how you're going to navigate through it. How do we help you navigate through that? And the coaching staff at the same time. So all of this right now is, it's early, it's 13 games, but everything is still, to me, is like a learning curve right now. Like they're still learning each other, because there's so many, it has been so many moving parts. So that's the thing to me that has stood out so far. And when we've been playing well and been connected, it's been good. But then at times when we're not connected and doing the small things and attention to details, that's when we kind of let go of the rope and end up losing games, like against the Utahs or against Philly last night. And we lose those type of games, and you should be winning those basketball games.
I think if I had to pick like a positive surprise, it's been there was so much question about the role players coming in, and I think we thought we knew what we would get from Jaylen, Peyton, and Derek, but everybody else was a little bit, okay, how's Nemi going to fare moving up to a starting role? How will Josh Minot and Luka Garza and all these guys fit in? And one of the encouraging things that's been, again, a little bit overshadowed by some of the ups and downs in wins and losses has been Jordan Walsh. The last 5 games has been just outstanding. The energy he's been able to bring out there. Minot before him. And Minot is learning how to play without fouling. He's learning how to be impactful as a starter. Again, like both these guys, Minot's 22, Walsh is 21 still. They're still kind of figuring this thing out. But I really like that it does seem like there's something there with the Celtics supporting cast. And one of the things I kept saying coming into the year was maybe more important than even just wins and losses is figuring out who core pieces could be moving forward. And we're not going to, I'm not about to make any like hard declarations off of 13 games, but in sections of that 13 games, sure looks like Jordan Walsh and Minot, maybe even Luka Garza in small stretches, certainly Anthony Simons with the way he's been a microwave scorer at times. Those guys can be helpful pieces on whether that's this year's team or potentially with some of these guys deeper into the future. And so that's encouraging. I think that it's a real chance for them to find guys that when Jason Tatum's healthy, when whatever iteration is next, there's going to be guys that help and will be in roles that are maybe even slightly less than what they're doing now, and that might unlock them even more. So eager to see where that goes. The one, I would guess, I wouldn't even call it a bad surprise. I just think it's a little jarring to see Derek White go through the slump that he's gone through to start the year with the shooting. Can you put your finger on it? Like, why, do you think that's Derek adjusting to the new role? He's been pretty steadfast that it's not necessarily that the shots are different or that the attention's different. He really feels like it's just he's missing shots. And there certainly have been instances of that. But do you think there's something to the idea that him, as much as anybody, going from maybe the third or fourth option to all of a sudden now the second option, there's going to be some growing pains?
Yeah, it is going to be some growing pains, and there's a difference. Has he missed shots? But sometimes those missed shots are due to the attention that you're getting more so. And a lot of times, so to put it in perspective, he might get an open shot, right?
Mhm.
And miss that open shot. But he might have had to work so hard to get open, or he worked hard to get open and didn't get a shot the last time and he was open, and maybe he would have got an open shot, whoever was on the court, in previous years, to where, they're helping off of him and he's getting an open shot. Now there's bodies on him constantly. There's people that's paying attention to him. And this is not saying that he can't adjust, because I think he's starting to make the adjustment the last couple games, especially that second half last night.
Yeah.
And then how he played tonight as well. And that's all you need. And it doesn't matter about who your competition is. It's a matter about how you are going out there and you're competing and what you're putting out on display as an individual. So I think that everybody is figuring out exactly, how they're going to have to play a different type of role and how they play that role and be a star in that role. And sometimes it takes time. It takes time for that to happen. It just doesn't happen overnight. You have a handful of guys out here in the league that are just plug and play guys. It doesn't matter where you drop them. They're going to do that same exact thing no matter where they go. You could talk about like a Luka. You could talk about a KD. You could talk about, even a healthy Jason Tatum, guys like that, to where it don't matter where you drop them at. They're going to always be who they are. You know what I mean? And bringing that to the table. So to me, that's just the growing pains of understanding, okay, I have a new role and now growing into your role.
It's fascinating. The one thing I keep telling people is, even though there's been some growing pains with it now, one, I think Derek's going to figure it out. Peyton's going to figure it out. Obviously Peyton, we're rocking the hoodies on Celtics Post Up tonight because he goes for plus 42 tonight. And single game plus minus is what it is. But man, he was super impactful, and he talked afterward about kind of finding the joy again, and just getting back to being himself. I think about when not only do these guys get comfortable in these new roles, but when you eventually fold Jason Tatum back in, and now all of a sudden they go back to being third and fourth options, and the defenses are not as aggressive as they were when they were sort of without him. And I think it could further unlock this team long term, which naturally brings us to Jaylen Brown, who, again, coming into the season felt like all the spotlight was on him. How would he perform as the sort of surefire 1A on this team? And I got to tell you, like, every time he goes up, Eddie, like, I just feel like the ball's going in. Whether it's in the mid-range or like the three-point line. The other night in Philly, he had it was almost like a Kyrie move where he spun down the defender and worked them. I've been really impressed. He took the blame for that Philly game getting away because he had one bad defensive assignment at the end there, or one bad defensive decision. But what are your impressions of Jaylen Ben? Because it feels like he's really, really been gone to a different level with at least his offensive game this season.
I wouldn't even call him the 1A. I would call him the 1 on this team right now. The fact of the matter is that he, night in and night out, has been a guy that's been showing up. He hasn't been shooting the three particularly well. You know what I mean? He's starting to knock it down a little bit. So when he's able to unlock that part of the game where that's going to get consistent. And he could just shoot 40%, 39%, 41%, somewhere around there. That would be, A1 because he's able to get to wherever he wants to on the floor. He's strong. He's athletic. He could finish at the rim. He could finish with the mid range. He could draw fouls, get to the free throw line, and then he could also guard the other team's best player. So, and it's a luxury because you got a guy like Jordan Walsh who was guarding so many different players, right? And then you also got Jaylen Brown could do the same thing. So you have two guys that can guard multiple positions, whether it be a point guard, whether it be a small forward or a power forward, and sometimes even a center if they're, they switched and they have to, try to figure out how to guard them. And all it is now you're not guarding them for, the whole game. It's that possession or maybe another possession, and you just fight for your space and fight for that opportunity to win that possession and win your space and actually win that battle between whoever you're defending against. So I think Jaylen Brown has done a great job, and on top of that, I think that he has taken the responsibility of being the team leader and being more vocal, talking about it, but then also going there being about it. And I think that's more important than just talking. Is just going out there and actually showing and backing up what you've been saying.
Yeah, it's been really encouraging to see how good he was. Even the games they lost, like I think about opening night and all the potential assists he generated, guys just weren't making shots. He's been special on some nights and just, needed some help from everybody else. But really, he's backed up what he said this offseason about embracing this opportunity and being ready to lead this team. Just as you said, almost more vocally than even beyond what he's done on the court. It's been really good to see. Having a vehicle you can rely on, that's important. That's why you can rely on 24 Auto Group. They will treat you like family. And that's because they are family owned and operated. They're honest, easy to work with, and they just get it. Whether you're looking for something sporty, something luxurious, or just a solid everyday ride, 24 Auto Group always comes through. With 9 brands and 11 locations across New England, there's something for everyone. And here's the best part. They've got the knack to save you more on a new or pre-owned vehicle, and the knack to pay you more for your trade, up to $2,400 over book value. You can even drive home with just $24 down. So if you want the best deal without the runaround, go see my guys at 24 Auto Group, because you always get more at 24. Online at 24autogroup.com. They got 3 days off, which feels like a month off because they've been playing every other day.
You got 3 days off, right?
What's that?
Do you get 3 days off too?
Well, we'll see. I'm gonna make the most of the fact that there's no games. I'll leave it at that. I'm gonna take advantage of the downtime. But from a player perspective, what would you do? Like beyond the obvious of, I assume Joe's going to give them some time to hit the reset button. They'll take Thursday off for sure, coming off a back-to-back, maybe even Friday. You get back on Saturday. If you're Joe, what do you want them to be focused on coming out of a break? Do you go back and do you think they break down the first 13 games and kind of use this as a checkpoint? How do you approach it?
No, I think you just look forward. What's behind you is behind you, and you've already watched the film, and you know what happened, in certain games and situations. Now, if you do want to put together a clip of saying, hey, these are the things that cost us certain games. Look, these are one-score games that we lost. This is a very close game that we lost. Here is the offensive breakdown that we have where we didn't execute. Our spacing wasn't right. So we got to get our spacing together. Okay, I can understand that, but I wouldn't harp on the 13 games. I would break down different situations in those clips, myself. Different situations of those clips, offensively and defensively. So we'll have an offensive clip, then we'll also have defensive clips and show okay, this is where we could definitely get better. And then when we go to practice, and I would expect them tomorrow be totally off. Because this has been a brutal schedule.
Yeah.
They had the one stretch where they were 5 games and 7 nights. And then they play every other night. They had a back-to-back, had 1 day off, and then they went back to every other night. And so I would expect to be, hey, listen, if you want to come in tomorrow, do come in if you want to. But is not mandatory. I want you guys. As a matter of fact, I will probably say nobody come in tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Stay home. Everybody stay home, rest, spend some time with your family, stay home. The next day, Friday, that would be like, okay, well, voluntary.
Yep.
Who wants to show up and come in? Because then, you could come in, meet with coaches, watch film. You could go out and get your shots up and things like that. Something that's very light. And then Saturday, get right back to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, have a nice little soft film session to maybe take up 15 minutes and then get right to work. And then, after that, whoever wants to stay around and get shots up because you have an early game on Sunday. Well, it's early out here, but earlier
early
game,
here too.
yeah, earlier game on Sunday. And so then, you want them to get they maximize the rest that they could get.
Give me Coach House. What would give me one thing on each side of the ball that you'd put on that tape? What is something you want to see improve? I think we've spent a lot of time talking about, the passing hasn't been up to the level that the Celtics are accustomed to. It was almost jarring to watch how good it was tonight against the Grizzlies. Much better ball movement. Passes were on time, on target, more so than we've seen. Defensively, I go back to just, it might just be fundamentals and late game stuff and finishing quarters, boxing out, just like, to me, I don't think I would drill it down to just a couple key things that I want guys thinking about when they're back out there. What would be at the top of your to-do list?
Well, it'll be the spacing. I would show tonight's game. I thought we had fantastic spacing. There's other games that we had really good spacing as well. And I think spacing leads to having opportunities to get your guy off the dribble because everybody pretty much could crack their guy off the dribble. And then you get into the paint area or you get into the position of where you force somebody to help. Then you're able to make the pass. And then now the ball gets to hopping because of the spacing. So I would kind of focus on that offensively and focus on the fact that, when we do share the basketball, we're a real tough team to beat. And it is a correlation to where you look at if we share the ball, we move the ball, our shots go down.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to when we don't move the ball, we don't have spacing, shots are a little tougher and they just don't go down. It's just the rhythm of the game. And then defensively, I would just say, hey man, listen, we do got to get back to the fundamentals of when let's not we don't have to overhelp, when we don't have to. Let's be in the right spots at the right time. If it's boxes and elbows or if it's at the nail, whatever it is, if we're supposed to trap the box, let's trap the box and then we rotate out of there if they skip it and all those type of things. So I would say that, and then also get back to the basics of if the shot goes up, don't just turn and look. Go make contact with whoever is around you. If you're guarding this guy right here, make sure you at least get your body on his body. And it doesn't necessarily have to be you trying to root him out and box him all the way out to half court or thing like that. But you do want to put a body on him. That way you're in between the ball and the man. If there's a long rebound, we all understand that. Sometimes the ball comes off funny and it's a long rebound and there's nothing you could do about it. But for the most part, I would say probably 94, 95% of the time, if you box out, the ball usually comes right to where in your area.
All right, I got two things, and then we're gonna ease into this little mini vacation that we got. One, we're still a month away from what we would call trade season. December 15th is when most guys become eligible. But it just, looking at the calendar today, it just started jogging my mind a little bit. I think it's probably too early to start thinking about like what the Celtics might do, but Brad Stevens gets paid a lot of money to think about these things. How comfortable are you with the roster based on what we've seen to this point? I feel like, I guess I'm at a point where I just say I need another month of just evaluating to know, are there glaring needs? I think there's been a little bit, some guys have been good, some guys have had down games. I need to see who kind of levels out consistency wise. But if you're Brad, where's your mind at as you're kind of starting to think ahead to what the roster might look like by the time they're, much deeper when the trade deadline rolls around in February?
Well, Brad always got a trick up his sleeve.
That's so true.
But to be honest with you, man, it's hard to evaluate a team after 13
Yeah.
games and after so many different starting lineups, so many different people playing. At times, I think we played, 11, 12, maybe 13 guys at one point.
Tonight
Like,
it must have been 13, right? Like Boucher got in there,
yeah.
Shireman got back in there.
So that it's really tough to evaluate in 13 games. Like you said, in another month, you got to think they've been playing. That'll be almost 2 months. Like
Yeah.
yeah, a whole month and then half of a month,
Mm-hmm.
right? And of basketball being played. And I think you will have a general idea of who fits, who doesn't, and who could be expendable and who's not. And so I couldn't jump to a conclusion right now
Yeah. I
because
think I'm
it's
with you.
just so early. It's just too
Yeah,
early.
I think it's something you got to just start. It's so funny because we're coming into the season. I think people would be like, "Oh, you need another big man," and who knows what happens with Simons. For me, it's still like I'm kind of figuring out what the pieces look like and like how this all comes together. I think everyone still deserves that time to sort of to show what they can do and before they make decisions. But you're right. Like, I mean, these are the tough decisions Brad has to think about as he's kind of cobbling it together. And the reason I guess I kind of go there is so it feels like every couple weeks we get a new Jason Tatum video. I don't know if you saw it today. He put on his Snapchat. It's him doing like dribbling pull-up jumpers at the Auerbach Center. And I'm just like constantly blown away that, it does not look like a guy who had Achilles surgery back in May. I guess just what are your thoughts watching him as he navigates this process, both being on the bench and, being on the road, being around the team, but working so hard to seemingly try to get back out there as soon as he can?
Well, I think being on the road and being with the team just gives you that sense of, okay, this is basketball season, not you staying back and you're just rehabbing and you by yourself and things like that. So it gives you that same feeling that you've always had for years. So I think that that's part of that. But to be honest with you, Chris, I don't think that he'll come back unless we really look like we can make a real push. Because myself, I wouldn't, even though if he was healthy,
Mm-hmm.
like, and he looks like I'm ready to go, but we look at this team and say we just don't have
Sure.
all of the pieces to make a real push. I wouldn't force him to go out there for a one and done type series.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it was something that where we're like, we probably could win this shit again, when he comes back. Now, yeah. And if he feels that way too and he feels healthy, because I think that's the most important thing is how does his body feel? How is his Achilles responding to his rehabs? How is responding to everything that he's doing? Is it sore? Is it tender? Or is he starting to just feel normal and regular? Is he able to do his regular moves without thinking about his Achilles? And so those things are all that have to come into play. And those are the things that everybody has to think about. But to me, if we don't have a chance to actually push for a championship, I would just say, hey, man, let's just hold off.
Yep.
Because there's going to be some guys that's not going to be here that's on this team this year that won't be here next year. And, Brad Stevens, like I said, he always retooling. And, no rebuilding. It's just retooling.
It's going to be fascinating because I put myself in Tatum's shoes and I'm like, he working so hard and it's clear he wants to be back out there. But you're right. Like I think some of where the team is at will determine exactly how hard he pushes. I do think there's something to the idea of can he get out there and shake some rust and then have a normal summer. But I mean, when I watch these videos, it's like it's hard for me to think he's not in a position to think about this stuff in late February, early March. Still a lot of basketball left at that point. Again, I'm not making any declarations about what I think he should do. I'll leave that to the doctors. I'll leave that to Tatum. It's just gonna be fascinating. It's gonna be we're gonna watch this young team, and we'll see what Brad does. But hovering over it all is, hey, Jason Tatum's coming back at some point, and whether that's next season or this season, and things get a lot different when that happens.
Ain't no question.
What are you going to do with your 3 days?
What was my plans tomorrow? My plan to, oh, you know what, man? I'm gonna really be chilling.
Nothing
I'm
wrong
gonna
with
really
that.
be, I'm gonna really just be kicking it, man. Uh,
How do you feel
my
if I
whole
put my
thing,
Christmas decorations up before Thanksgiving?
well, if that's what you want to do, you could do that.
Yeah.
I, yeah, that's what you're gonna do. You gonna put your Christmas decorations up?
We put our Christmas tree up the day after Halloween.
Oh, your Christmas tree been up already then?
Been up. Yeah, we haven't put anything else
Yeah.
up. Yeah,
Do you already got some gifts underneath there?
nothing yet, no. But one, the dog seems to really like when the tree goes up. I don't know, like he vibes. I don't know if he knows. Like he's just excited. So we were taking down the Halloween stuff, and I said, you know what? What are we waiting for? Let's just put the tree up. And we haven't done anything else.
You out of pocket for that. Let me tell you why you out of pocket. Because your kids come down every morning looking at that tree thinking there's gonna be something underneath there.
That's
Like,
fair.
damn, ain't nothing that, man, oh my gosh. Am I getting anything for Christmas?
Dad is messing with us. Maybe I'll start leaving. I'll take some of their Halloween candy and like start throwing it in the tree or something. Just give a little something. No, we've wrestled with it. We've never done it this early, but why not turn the holiday season and prolong it out to like 60 days?
And get it out the way, right?
Yeah. Now we get all that time to just enjoy the season. And we're not taking anything away from Thanksgiving. I can't wait for Thanksgiving.
Right.
It's going to be amazing. All right.
Oh,
Go enjoy your time.
So what's on? Let me ask you this: what's
Yeah.
on your menu for Thanksgiving?
Ooh. So, ironically, my mom, as you know, my mom lives down in South Carolina now. She typically
Right.
comes home for Christmas, does not usually come up for Thanksgiving. So a lot of my favorite foods I miss out on. As part of this 3-day stretch, I might be trying to go sneak down and do a little bit of an early Thanksgiving. So, but I am very, while there's some Forsberg family specifics that like everyone, I would say would ebb and flow. Like some years we do the carrots and turnips, and some years we do something else crazy. As long as the turkey, mashed potatoes, the stuffing, like as long as all of that's there, that's all I need. And the people, it's the people that make the experience.
Okay, that's fair enough.
What about you? What's the best thing on the house menu?
Oh man, so we're gonna do. We're trying to figure it out because the turkey, man, usually is dry. So I'm not a huge turkey fan,
Fair.
but we'll figure that out. You guys call it stuffing. We call
The
it dressing.
dressing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So we're gonna have the dressing for sure with the cranberry. I like the cranberry sauce with
Love
the
it.
slices. Put that on there. She likes to make the sweet potatoes with all the little fixings on
Yes.
there. I think I'm gonna make some greens. I think I'm gonna make the greens for that, and then I don't know what else, man. Like that's just what we got going on right
No,
now. We're gonna add
exactly.
in,
Like I always tell people, I love when people tell me about their like exotic dishes and stuff like that. But I just need the standards. Play the hits.
yeah, that's it.
You know?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, stick to the script, man. We ain't gotta do nothing different.
My mom might throw like some fillets in there too. I know it's not Thanksgiving style, but like we're not adverse to throwing a little steak action into any holiday.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Everyone
Who
loves
turning
it.
down steak? Yeah, who turning down steaks out here?
Nobody. If you got a choice, I love turkey. I'm taking the steaks any day of the week.
For
All right.
sure.
It's been a grind to start this season, man. We've said a lot of words over the first 2.5 weeks here. Go rest up. We'll catch you on Sunday. The rest of you, go subscribe, go check us out on the YouTube page. I got a feeling everyone's going to give me an earful about my Christmas tree. We'll catch you next time on the Celtics Talk Podcast.